Thank you all for tuning in to Say Hi to the Future's Leadership Forum, a space where you will hear from leading industry executives on the human side of ingenuity, how they catalyze it to unlock value and realize their organization's full potential. We will keep it real. You will hear what's worked well and learnings from instances where things could have worked better. I am your host, Saquib Vali, partner at SpyderWorks and explorer Say Hi to the Future, the fast-growing community highlighting the human side of ingenuity.
So our guest today is Janet Wardle, President and CEO, MHI Canada Aerospace Inc. Janet has led a storied 20-plus year career in aerospace. She's tenacious, decisive, and has been a trailblazer for women in aerospace. Welcome, Janet. Thank you for taking time out from your, because MHI stands for heavy industry. So thank you for taking time out of your heavy and high-flying schedule. Janet, you know what? Those were the formal introductions, but you know what? Help our listeners hear in your voice how you would introduce yourself. And as you do, please do demystify two things for me. One, what is it that we all get wrong about aerospace in general? But more importantly, what do we get wrong about women in aerospace?
For me, I'm going to be really simple because I consider myself to be a pretty simple person. You used words that I would use for myself and how I got to where I am, and it is tenaciousness. So that is for sure. But truly, I am a mother, a wife, a daughter that just has the absolute privilege of coming into this place every day to lead a group of highly engaged, motivated individuals to build airplanes. And that's who I am in the simplest way. I consider myself, again, those things first: mother, wife, and daughter. And I do find that I need to take care of those things first. When people ask me who I am, I struggle to say I'm a president and CEO. I don't struggle to say I'm all those other things. And again, I do consider it to be a privilege to be able to lead such an amazing team. And maybe one day you can come and visit us and see how engaging the team is. We've had customers come, and when they come to the floor, they're like, Janet, they're actually happy to see you. Whereas at other organizations, the CEO comes down and everyone runs and hides. So that's me in a nutshell, simple. As far as aerospace, when I graduated, thank you for saying only 20 years ago, a little longer than that ago, I wanted to do aerospace. I thought it was sexy. I thought, here it is, this industry that really links people together. We talk about inclusiveness, we talk about diversity, but truly, I think we all know the only way you really learn about people is to go and embrace different cultures. So when I wanted to do aerospace, that's what I wanted to do. I thought, what an amazing industry that links so many cultures and backgrounds and has people learning about those different countries and places. But lately, I feel that aerospace has been put to this industry that's not environmentally friendly, that is an industry that's not very innovative. When you look at airplanes, sure, the Wright brothers did amazing things, but there's the narrative out there that we're stagnant, we're not getting there. And that's the one thing about aerospace particularly. I would love to be able to continue to remind people that it does bring people together and that we are looking at becoming, environmentally friendly. And I always say to people that automotive goes faster. They build more cars than people build airplanes for obvious reasons. So whatever they do, we always feel like we're a little behind. So they're electrifying now. Aerospace is getting there. Cars aren't there yet. So aerospace is going to take some time. So from an aerospace industry, I want people to know that it is still sexy when you think about what aerospace does and what aviation does for the world. I think we do need to remind people of that. I think your next question was about women in aerospace. On that one, I'm a little disappointed to really tell you that I don't think much has changed. I do know that, even with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, I was and am, I believe, unless something's happened over the last few months, still the only president and CEO female that they have in a manufacturing site. I think they have one other that takes care of shared services like HR and IT. When I go to events, unfortunately, I am still one of the only females at the table. So yeah, we've moved the needle. When I look at my leadership table, when I look at, when they moved here in 2012, we're in Mississauga. When they moved here in 2012, they didn't even have a female bathroom on the shop floor.
Oh boy.
Right? They had no intention to even consider that a female would want to be an aircraft mechanic or a quality inspector. So they didn't even have a female bathroom on the floor. And here we are, 11 years later, and not only do we have over 100 female employees here, we have a president and CEO that's a female. So we are moving the needle, not fast enough, right? Not just not fast enough. So we need to figure out a way, and that's why I'm so passionate about getting out to the schools. I'm reaching out and trying to figure out how do I get to the high schools, the elementary schools, to let them know. And it's not just females, but it is on the females to let them know, there's so much more to the world than those normal careers that we hear about, and please come join us. And the other thing I try to do here is to really mentor the females here, to let them know and encourage them to, move up the ladder, right? So many females are scared, right?
Yeah. So and you said scared now, because I was just curious. When you go out and you mentor women or you mentor people,
Yeah.
and you go to schools, why is it like, what's holding people? What's
So I know here. So
Yeah.
I know here when I talk to females, and we have a program for high potentials. And what we did was we went out to all 700 employees. We put out a questionnaire and said, hey, listen, do you want to learn a new skill? Do you want to move up the ladder? Kind of reaching out to them. I looked at everybody that responded, and I'm like, where's Beth? Where's Fiona? Like, it was, where were these females? And when I went to them and they said, Janet, my family life, I really don't want to put my family life at risk, and family's so important. And I just feel that we don't do enough to say you can have it all. Right? There's going to be days that it's going to be tougher. I think that the world still, under normal circumstances, has females still doing those roles. And let's be clear on that. Females want to do those roles. Like, I still want to be a mother. Sure. Right. So I think it's the fear that if they go to get that job and have to leave because a child is ill, that everyone's going to look down on them and say, oh, you're not right for that job. So there's the fear factor. And I think that it's the factor where when jobs do come up, when opportunities do come up, females tend to look at that opportunity and say, okay, I need 5 things in order to get that job or that opportunity. I have 2. So I'm not going to apply. Males, I have guys coming to me, if it needs 5, they have none. And they're like, Janet, what do I need to do? This sounds amazing. And I'm like, why do more females not do that? I was told, I don't know. And I've experienced it with myself, that females just want to have everything I's dotted, T's crossed, where the males will come and say, hey, listen, I know I don't have any of these things, but what do I need in order to get to that role? And you see initiative like that, I see initiative like that, I might give that individual a try. I've had females come to me and say, that guy didn't have any of those things. And I'm like, but you didn't apply.
Yeah. No, and that's so true. And you know what? I've got 2 daughters, and so my household is all women. And honestly, I can hear that, like I can see that. And so yeah, that's there. I have known the Janet Wardle, MBOT for a while, but all it took, Janet, was that one marital lunch, that short interaction, and your energy was just infectious, right? And so that was the point. And so, if you ask why do you belong in the ingenious group, your energy that you bring, and frankly, you've accomplished a ton. So you don't just belong here, you own this space. With that, I'd love to get your leadership take on Ingenuity, right? Specifically the human side of Ingenuity. So obviously, being in aerospace, there are lots and lots of innovations and ingenious things that are happening. But where I want to tilt this a bit is what is it that how have you gone around, and what's been the result of and the success that you've had within the organization because of the human side of Ingenuity? Like, so talk to me about that.
So I think as leaders, sometimes we forget that there is that human side of Ingenuity, right? So when I talk to my team, especially about, that listening and the, embracing that human ingenuity, we talk about things that are part of our values and our principles here. We talk about empowering employees. We talk about fostering innovation, encouraging problem solving, and just that whole adaptability. And so what leader wouldn't want an inclusive, motivated, engaged workforce, right? That just wants to continue to improve. So we've really done a lot in the last, I'm going to say since 2020, to invest in that human, call it ingenuity, continue to call it talent management. That making sure we understand what people want to learn about, what they can bring to the table for us. And the biggest thing that I continue to tell my team is that whole listening. So when we invest in that human ingenuity, it involves supporting initiatives, creating opportunities. One of our values is to foster brave ideas. Let people come to you with brave ideas, because don't let them be afraid.
So to speak, that speaks a ton. So brave ideas. How do you like? What's your process for it?
So we actually have a project intake now that's a little more formal, that would have people come to the team with, different ideas. We have a project intake team that it doesn't even come to leadership, so they can talk ideas through. That way it's not overwhelming. It's not, people don't have to be worried about being in front of the leadership to present these projects, and they work through that business plan to see if these things make sense. We also have an app called Let's Talk that comes right to me. Again, if somebody sees something simple on the shop floor, hey, bring it to me as an idea. Every person that comes through orientation, it's one of the biggest things I bring to the table to them, is that everybody comes from a different background, a different industry maybe. And the example that I use time and time again, I worked for a company about 15 years ago. We made engines, and we had to do a engine test for an aerospace company in the US. And we were falling behind because the water pressure tank was behind schedule. We were ready to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get that water tank up and running. And somebody, this little voice, I still remember the person in the background, says, why don't you just go to Canadian Tire and buy a kiddie pool? And at first we were all like, what? And then we went, that'll work. Yes, you need something more robust for the future, but that'll work. So I always bring that to people's attention to say, even if you think it might not be the perfect answer, you're not always going to have the perfect answer or idea, but bring the idea to the table. I've done roundtables in my office where I've said, hey, listen, I'm going to bring lunch. Does anybody want to come and talk about ideas? And I got I don't know where it is. I got my pink book of ideas, and I go through those ideas on a regular basis to remind myself of ideas that have come from the floor. And again, I need to make sure people can be brave enough to come to me with those ideas. So I'm always open to listen and to understand and to try to push some of those ideas through. Some of them don't work. It's right. Not everything does. I'm sure when all these innovative companies came up with ideas, not the first idea works. So
that, you know what, I am going to remember brave ideas, right? I mean, that is,
it's one of our guiding principles.
That is such a cool way of doing things. This is kind of leading into the next section, which is I wanted to understand a bit more about how you nurture ingenuity, and you've already said that within the organization. How about the broader community? What is MHI Canada Aerospace doing in the broader community to foster and nurture ingenuity? Like you were talking about how you go to schools and stuff. So maybe there's something there, but anything else that the company does and you as
So,
leaders?
yeah, so we try to get involved in as much as possible when it comes to the schools. I've said for a long time that we need to get to the schools, we need to get to the parents. So we're working with a number of the universities and colleges, and even as simple as getting interns in here, getting co-ops in here. We're starting to embark on, I've gone to a couple colleges and universities and say, hey, listen, I have this problem. I want to have a competition. I want these 3 universities. I'm going to give you guys all the same problem. You can come in, you can look at our problem and kind of give me those ideas on how we can fix it. Some are technical, some as simple as our branding. We have some issues here with branding and getting that internal branding out. So we've gone to the colleges and universities. We're also starting to work with the high schools. We want high schools to come in, again, maybe a physics class to come in. And we have some of my directors have put together challenges for them to come in and work on those challenges. And then the elementary schools, same idea, is to get out to those elementary schools to make them come in and learn about what aerospace has to offer. And it's not just STEM. You know, there's a lot being done on STEM. You know, I still don't think it's fast enough. I don't know how to make it faster. But I think that there's so much we could do to say to people, you know, you can come work at aerospace. We have marketing, we have business, we need lawyers. You know, we need all these people. Don't forget about us. So we definitely try to partner with schools on that. And then associations, I personally am involved with, you know, the state, the city, the province, and the country as far as an aerospace strategy. We have individuals that go out for advanced manufacturing, again, trying to learn what other companies are doing and build on that and see what we can pull in. So it's got to be a two-way street. We got to be able to learn and other people have to be able to learn. So
going from Ingenuity, I'd like a bit more on a personal level, Janet. Wanted to find out, you know, it seems like it's a stepwise linear career, and you and I both know that's not how it ever happens, right? So let me ask you, Janet Wardle, if you were to walk the path again, would you do it exactly the same way?
no.
Or would you do something different?
I would do specifically, you know, when that's a yeah. So I think the one thing I would do is to listen more. And when I say to listen more, I think listen to both. I always tell people that I don't take compliments well. So then I don't take criticism well, so I don't want to hear the compliments. And I think that I need to do better in listening. And that's what I would have done definitely different, is to listen more to the positives and negatives from either peers, from people that worked for me. Some of them you can't take. I remember working at one place and I was told, believe it or not, by a female HR that I was too assertive of a female to work there. And you know, for that one, I think, you know, I could have, right? I could have quit. I could have walked away. I just found my way to another opportunity. But when I say listen, I had the president and CEO of MHI Canada approach me 2 years prior to me coming here and say, hey, Janet, listen, you know, I need a VP of operations. You want to come and be my VP of operations? I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, what makes you think I could be a VP of operations? I was in supply chain at the time. That's what I felt that I was good at. That's where I felt my career was going to go. Then they were looking for a director of supply chain, and that's when I came here. Then I came here and I went, I could do that job. So I think I would have listened more. And I've had that happen a couple times where, because again, maybe it's the female side of things, when people would say, hey, listen, I see this in you and I don't see it. Listen more.
So let me follow up on that and just ask you. So let's say you do get a chance and you're giving advice to your younger self and you do start to listen more. Would that have changed the trajectory? Would that have gotten you to your place faster?
It would have gotten me here faster. Yeah,
it
would have gotten me here faster. And, you know, when I look at my career, my age, and where I want to be in the next 5 years, it might have gotten me to where I want to be sooner, in the next 2 years, the next 3 years. At the end of the day, when you look at a president and CEO, go, what is next on that? I want to take my knowledge and give it to that next president and CEO or someone else in the industry, hopefully a female, and help them through their career. So that's what I want to do. That's what I'm passionate about, is that teaching, that mentoring. In this role, I'm not able, besides the individuals here, do much of that. So I would have been able to do that sooner.
So that's advice to yourself. Okay.
Yes.
And awesome. How about, there are lots of listeners on to this podcast that are going to be other leaders.
Mm-hmm.
What would your advice be to some of the other leaders?
Again, not to sound like a broken record, but to listen, not only to others' input on you and your performance. Some of it you're going to take and you're going to go, no, they're crazy. They're inaccurate. Yes, they saw me in a bad day. But also listen to those brave ideas. Because again, another example that I can think of now thinking about it is, somebody came to me probably when I first started as president and CEO with the idea of those Google glasses, those Google glasses. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what would we use Google glasses for? Like, come on, you're like going, you're just, I'm thinking you're like one of these guys, like these crazy scientists that wanted me to bring up on. And now I'm like, we could have really used that during COVID. We could really use that through the apprentice program. So again, that listening more and accepting of brave ideas. It doesn't, as engineers, sometimes I find that we want things to be perfect, I's dotted, T's crossed, every risk discussed. Take some of those calculated risks, listen to those people that are coming to you, and especially those individuals that have such big hearts and such passion about whether it's the industry or your organization. Just take a little more time to listen to them, because they could definitely move your organization forward faster.
And would you be a proponent that listening is instrumental even for the human side of Ingenuity?
Everything. It's instrumental for everything. That's the one thing. Like, I can remember we had some issues, and when I first got this job, and my daughter would say to me, Mom, why do you go down to the shop floor if all they do is complain? And I'm like, Erica, they just want someone to listen. They want someone to listen. And I think that in humans just they just want to know they're heard, right? So I think it is instrumental in me getting to where I am and moving that needle forward. So listening's huge.
So Google Glasses, all right, fine, they went away, but now you got Vision Pro. Are you one of the first ones to have Vision Pro?
We're talking about it. We're putting our interim plan together for the next 3 years, and Japan's basically saying to us, yeah, listen, I'm not going to say yes or no to anything, but put it on the table. So if it does come up, I think that could help some of our team get to where we need them to get faster and get that learning curve up quicker. Yeah.
Well, hey, by way of this, if Tim Cook, you're listening to this podcast, right? Here we have Janet Wardle, who's sitting here waiting to be one of the key it could be a lot bad. Awesome. Hey, listen, this has been absolutely very interesting. I've taken away brave ideas. I've taken away listening. And honestly, the other thing I'm thinking about is, and it's not just for women, but all of us need to get out of our own way.
Yes.
And I think we all will be better off for that. Thank you, Janet. This has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sharing your insights. Our listeners would love to hear more from you. So we will tag you and MHI Canada, in our show notes. And so who knows, you just might be getting some more messages.
There you go. Wonderful.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The Say Hi to the Future podcast series is produced by Sonia Romero, edited by Matt Miller, and special effects by Edward Vasquez. You can find all Say Hi to the Future podcast series on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.